Agha Mohammad Khan Qajar, the founder of Iran's Qajar Dynasty, was a ruthless 18th century ruler who reigned from 1789 to 1797. His brutal legacy includes massacring civilians, torturing rivals like Shah Rukh of Khorasan to death, blinding 20,000 people in Kerman, and slaughtering thousands in Georgia's Tbilisi. He personally executed enemies, mutilated bodies, and ordered savage punishments, including the infamous execution of his own servants for trivial offenses. In this documentary, we explore his blood-soaked reign through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis, dissecting the mind of a man whose cruelty knew no bounds. Why shine a spotlight on Agha Mohammad Khan? Because his violence wasn't just war, it was personal, calculated, and psychologically twisted. His atrocities, from gouging out eyes to burning cities, reveal a mind driven by more than power. They scream vengeance, paranoia, and a hunger for control that makes him a chilling case study. Picture this: 1795, Kerman, Iran. Agha Mohammad, enraged by rebellion, orders 20,000 men blinded, their eyes torn out with knives, leaving them to stumble through streets, begging for death. In Tbilisi, he razes the city, leaving piles of corpses, men, women, children hacked apart, their blood soaking the earth. He tortures Shah Rukh, boiling kettles press his head, beard ripped out, until he reveals hidden treasures, then kills him anyway. Even his own servants, caught arguing too loudly, face his wrath, or to die for daring to disturb him. These acts aren't just cruel. They're a window into a psyche so scarred, so vengeful, it'll make your stomach churn. Let's step back to 1742, Asterabad, where Agha Mohammad Khan was born into the Kwanla branch of the Qajar tribe. His early life was a crucible of horror that forged a monster. At 6, he was castrated on the orders of Adel Shah Afshar, a rival ruler, a brutal act meant to neutralize him as a threat. Imagine a child barely old enough to understand, subjected to such agony, his body and future stolen in a single bloody moment. This wasn't just physical, it was a psychological sledgehammer. Psychoanalysts like Dr. Bessel van der Kolk explain that such trauma can shatter a child's sense of safety, planting seeds of rage and mistrust. For Agha Mohammad, it birthed a lifelong vendetta against the world. His father, Muhammad Hassan Khan, was a chieftain fighting to reclaim power, often absent or embroiled in tribal wars. His mother, Jiran Khanum, offered little warmth, and the family's nomadic life was harsh, steeped in violence. Agha Mohammad grew up in a world where betrayal was routine. His grandfather, Fath Ali Khan, was executed by Shah Tahmasp II, and his father was killed in battle. This environment, per Dr. John Bowlby's attachment theory, likely created an insecure attachment, where love and trust were replaced by suspicion and hostility. By his teens, he was a prisoner of Karim Khan Zand, held in Shiraz for 16 years. Though treated well, the humiliation of captivity, coupled with his castration, fueled what psychologists call narcissistic injury, a wound his pride that demanded vengeance. Psychoanalytically, his castration was a primal trauma, what Freud might call a castration complex taken to the extreme. It left him childless, unable to continue his lineage, which in a patriarchal society was a profound shame. Dr. J. Reed Malloy, a forensic psychologist, notes that such trauma can manifest as malignant narcissism, a mix of grandiosity, paranoia, and cruelty. Agha Mohammad's beardless, frail appearance, described by Sir John Malcolm as resembling an aged, wrinkled woman, only deepened his insecurity, his terrifying glare a mask for inner torment. His early life screams warning signs: trauma, neglect, and a world that taught him power comes through fear. By 1779, Agha Mohammad was free, Karim Khan dead, and Iran a chaotic mess of warring tribes. He saw his chance to seize power, but his methods were drenched in blood. Why did he kill? Psychologically, his violence was a twisted bid to reclaim what was stolen: his body, his pride, his destiny. His castration left him with what Dr. Malloy calls narcissistic rage, an uncontrollable fury of perceived slights. Every rival, every rebellious city, was a mirror of his own humiliation, and he lashed out to prove he was untouchable. His choice of victims, rulers like Lotf Ali Khan Zand, entire populations like Tbilisi's Christians, or even his own servants, reflects this. They weren't just threats. They were symbols of his pain. His paranoia, likely a trait of paranoid personality disorder, drove him to see enemies everywhere. He trusted no one, not even his brothers, whom he sidelined or fought. Psychoanalytically, his need to dominate was a defense mechanism, what Karen Horney calls moving against people, crushing others to feel secure. His obsession with treasures, like torturing Shah Rukh for Nader Shah's wealth, wasn't just greed. It was a way to fill the void of his lost masculinity. Dr. Michael McGrath explains that such compulsive behavior often stems from displacement, redirecting inner pain onto external targets. Agha Mohammad's victims, blinded, butchered, or buried, were proxies for his own suffering. His methods were sadistic, designed to terrorize. In Kerman, he didn't just kill. He ordered eyes gouged out, leaving 20,000 men to wander in agony, a living warning to rebels. In Tbilisi, he didn't just conquer. He massacred thousands, leaving streets choked with bodies. This aligns with what Dr. Robert Hare calls instrumental sadism, where cruelty is a tool for power. His personal involvement, executing enemies himself, disemboweling servants, shows a tactile need to feel their pain, a hallmark of sadistic personality disorder. He wasn't just a king. He was a predator, his psyche a furnace of vengeance and control. Picture Tbilisi, 1795, a city of churches and bustling markets, now a charnel house. Agha Mohammad army storms in, and the streets run red. Men are hacked apart, women and children gutted, their bodies left to rot under a burning sky. The screams were endless, a Georgian survivor wrote, for the Cambridge History of Iran, as if hell had opened its gates. Agha Mohammad, frail but ferocious, rides through the carnage, ordering no mercy. Corpses pile so high they block alleys, and the Tbilisi River chokes with blood. This wasn't war, it was annihilation, a message to any who dare defy him. In Kerman, 1794, the horror is personal. After Lat Ali Khan's defeat, Agha Mohammad turns on the city that supported him. Blind them all, he orders, and his soldiers obey. Knives flash, screams pierce the air, as 20,000 men, young, old, innocent, are mutilated. They beg for death, but he wanted them to suffer, a chronicler noted, per Encyclopedia Iranica. The streets become a nightmare of stumbling, eyeless figures, their wails haunting the city for years. Even his own court wasn't safe. In Shiraz, he exhumed Karim Khan's bones, reburying them under his palace threshold to trample daily, a grotesque act of vengeance against a long-dead rival. His sadism peaked in small moments, too. In 1797, Shah, he orders 2 servants executed for arguing too loudly. Their voices grated on my soul, he reportedly said, per Michael Axworthy's A History of Iran. But he delays their death until after a holy day, letting them serve him overnight. It's a fatal mistake. These acts, from mass slaughter to petty executions, paint a man who didn't just kill, he savored it. His cruelty a psychological release for a lifetime of pain. What's scarier than a killer? One who rules a nation. Agha Mohammad wasn't a skulking assassin. He was a king, his cruelty cloaked in pragmatism. He lived austerely, shunning pomp, yet hoarded jewels like the Dar-e-Nur, a sign of his obsessive need for control. He prayed and fasted, yet drank heavily and killed without remorse, a contradiction that screams cognitive dissonance, holding conflicting beliefs to justify actions. His court feared him, his terrifying face, per Sir John Malcolm, silencing rooms. He moved Iran's capital to Tehran, a strategic choice, but ruled like a warlord, always on horseback, never at ease. His ability to unify Iran, per Abbas Amanat's History of Modern Iran, shows a cunning mind, but his paranoia isolated him. He named his nephew, Fath Ali Shah, as heir, yet trusted no one, suspecting betrayal in every shadow. This aligns with schizoid personality traits, where intimacy is shunned for self-protection. His castration made him a target of whispers, yet he turned shame into terror, his frailty a weapon. He was a ghost among men, a courtier wrote, per Encyclopedia Iranica, ruling by fear alone. His life was a performance, a king playing God to hide the broken boy inside. In June 1797, Shah, Agha Mohammad's reign ends in blood. Camping outside the fortress, he's disturbed by two servants, Sadat Khan and Qadi Isfahani, arguing loudly. Enraged, he orders their execution, but, respecting the Islamic holy day, delays it until morning. "Let them serve me tonight," he says, a fatal misstep. That night, joined by a third servant, Abbasi Mazandarani, they creep into his tent. As he sleeps, they plunge daggers into his chest, his blood soaking the royal pavilion. They flee with his jewels, leaving the Shah dead at 55. His nephew, Fath Ali Shah, takes the throne, and the killers are later hunted down, their fates unrecorded but likely grim. The irony is poetic. A man who lived by fear died by it, betrayed by those he underestimated. He thought he was untouchable, historian Michael Axworthy writes, but his cruelty bred his doom. His death, for the Cambridge history of Iran, sparked chaos, but his Qajar dynasty endured. His body was buried in Najaf. Far from the land, he soaked in blood, a final exile for a restless soul. Agha Mohammad Khan's end is a mirror to his life. A man who built an empire on fear, only to be felled by it. Philosophically, his story is a descent into what Nietzsche called the will of power, the relentless drive to dominate that consumed him. His cruelty wasn't random. It was existential, a way to assert meaning in a life stripped of normalcy by castration. Yet, in his quest for control, he became its slave, his paranoia and rage chaining him to a cycle of violence. Existentially, he embodies Jean-Paul Sartre's bad faith, living a lie to avoid facing his own brokenness. His legacy forces us to ask, what makes a monster? His trauma, castration, captivity, loss, shaped him, but so did his choices. His reign unified Iran, yet at a cost of rivers of blood. Philosophically, he's a cautionary tale of power unchecked, what Hannah Arendt called the banality of evil. Not a cartoon villain, but a man whose pain became a nation's nightmare. His death, betrayed by servants he deemed beneath him, underscores a truth. No one escapes their own shadow. Agha Muhammad's ghost lingers, a reminder that the line between man and monster is razor thin.